Hello my people, welcome to another tutorial. My name is Agnes. In today's tutorial, I will show you how I made this cardigan. You can call it, I wanted it something versatile so it can work as a kimono, a cover-up, a cardigan, a robe, whatever you want it to be. So I wanted something airy and light. So I went with the yarn, which is Mohair yarn. Though it's not 100% Mohair, I'll give you the details of the yarn. But it is something that you can adjust. It's very adjustable in size. It's made to measure, so you can take your own measurements and make it in any size that you like or any length. Mine is floor length, but you can make this shorter, you can make the sleeves shorter, whatever you want to do with it. It's very adjustable, and I will tell you how to do that in the tutorial. So I styled it differently. As you can see, it serves different purposes. So this is what you're going to need. You're going to need scissors, a tape measure, because we'll be taking our measurements that I will tell you to take. And then for the yarn, I used durable Mohair yarn. This is from Durable Yarns and they're available in Europe. I'll give you the website. It is 50 grams and 190 meters each. I used 8 skeins of this. It is 55% acrylic and it's not 100% mohair, so it's 55% acrylic, and then for the mohair is 25%, and then the 20% is made of wool. So as you can see, it's not 100% mohair. It's a mixture of acrylic and wool and mohair. So for the size of the hook, it recommends a 2.5 millimeter hook, but I'm going to be doubling this up to a 5 because I want it very airy. So we will be using a 5 millimeter hook. You can use a 6 millimeter hook or a 4, but I will use a 5. And it is a size 2 yarn, that is weight 2, DK yarn, I think. So you can use anything lighter than this if you like. So we are going to be beginning with the back panel. For the back panel, we are going to work our shoulder to shoulder measurements plus 8 inches. So it's very big, or you can make it smaller if you like. Just you can add 6 inches, 4 inches, whatever you like. I am an extra small, so I will do 15 inches plus 8 inches, what will be 33 inches. Okay, so we are going to make a very long chain that is equivalent to our shoulder to shoulder measurements plus 8 inches. If you like it smaller, you can just add a few inches. So I will make a very long chain, longer than 23 inches, because I would like to work the first row before I measure my inches, because it's easier for me like that. Because if I only work 23 inches, sometimes it gets bigger, it gets smaller. So I will work a very long chain and then come back. So this is my chain, and since it is very long, I'm going to fold it into 2 and measure it. So let's see what we have here. I have about 14 inches. Let's see. 14 inches, 14 and a half, so that's like 29 inches, but I only need 23 inches. So I'm going to work a row of double crochets. This is what we're going to be working with. I will work a row of double crochets until I have 23 inches. Okay, so I'm going to yarn over, then we are going to skip 1, 2, 3, and into the 1, 2, and then into the third chain we are going to make a double crochet, and we are going to make our stitches very loose. Okay, we want it airy, right? So make them very loose. You're going to yarn over, insert your hook in the next chain and make a double crochet. Then you're going to go into the next chain, make another double crochet, and we are basically working with double crochets. So please make your stitches very loose. That's how you get it to be airy and light and all that. Okay, very loose stitches, and keep your tension. Otherwise, when you have different tensions, some are tight, some are loose, then it doesn't look right. Okay, so work your double crochets, and I'm going to work my double crochets until I have 23 inches. Then I'll come back to you. Okay, so our back panel once again is 15 inches. I mean, for me, it's 15 inches plus 8 inches. So you can take your shoulder to shoulder measurements and add 8. all right, inches. I'll see when I have 23 inches. So this is me. I have 23 inches, as you can see, and I have a remainder of the chain there. So I did 15 inches plus 8 inches, and if you like it smaller, please take, you don't have to add 8 inches. You can add 6, you can add 5, you can add 4, whatever you like. Okay, I wanted it like look big because it's like a kimono kind of vibe, so I wanted it big. But however, you can make it more fitting. I feel like the more fitting vibe, and you don't have to add the 8 inches. You can add less inches, you know, to that. Okay, so now we are going to move on to row 2. But before we do that, let's cut off this chain that is remaining. So I'll just go about 3 stitches to the left and then cut it off, and then pull my yarn like this and fasten off. I like this method because then I don't have to count my stitches, or I don't have to, you know, have the wrong measurements on the first row. Usually it can get bigger, it can get smaller, depends on the yarn, how it stretches. So for row 2, we are going to chain 2, and this is how we're going to begin every row. So we'll be chaining 2, and then we turn our work, and then you're going to yarn over, and then we'll go in these 2 loops at the top, these 2 loops here, and we are going to make a double crochet. So our chain 2 does not count as a stitch. Okay, so when you're counting your stitches, do not count that chain 2 as a stitch. And now we're going to go into every stitch, and we will be making a double crochet. Basically, this cardigan is made out of double crochets, which is a very easy stitch. It was my first time using mohair, so I wanted to make it with like the easiest stitch, because with mohair, you know, if you make a mistake and you have to unravel, it is a problem. Really, there's no room for mistakes when you're using mohair, so you have to be careful. It is impossible to unravel. It is possible, but it is a headache. It will give you a headache to unravel. So I use the easiest stitch just to have a feel of how I can work with it, and maybe next time, of course, I'll use different kinds of stitches. But for now, double crochet it is. I'll see you at the end of the row. Just work double crochets in every stitch. So I'm coming to the end, and I want to show you where to place your last stitch so that you have your lines, you're not adding stitches. So you see this double crochet here, this chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so this is going to be our last stitch. Okay, this is your last stitch. Do not put a stitch on top of the chain 2, otherwise you'll be increasing your stitches. If you see your work increasing, please count your stitches and make sure you have the same number of stitches on every row. So chain 2, turn your work, chain 2 does not count as a stitch, right? So we are going to make our first double crochet in this stitch right here on top of the previous double crochet. Okay, like this. And you're going to just go into the next stitch, work a double crochet, and the next one, work a double crochet, and we're going to work double crochets all the way to the end. 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way to the end. We are keeping our stitches loose. So basically this is going to be how we work until we have the length that we want. Please remember, we have the same number of stitches on every row. The chain 2 does not count as a stitch, and you'll keep repeating row 2. It's a 1 row repeat. Keep repeating row 2. Once you get to the end, remember we are working on top of this last double crochet as our last stitch here. Don't add any stitches. So you are going to do this until you have the length that you want. Do not count chain 2 as a stitch, okay? So you repeat this until you have the length that you need for your cardigan, okay? So this is what I have, and I have about 42 inches, and Please keep in mind, I did 42 inches, but once I had everything together, it actually became longer. So keep that in mind. Since we're working with double crochets, it can pull a little bit and it gets longer than you intended. Mine got longer than I intended. So anyway, this also added about 2 stitches because 2 inches. I started with 23. Now it's about 25. But we are going to do the front panels, and I want to leave 4 inches in the middle for our neckline. 4 inches, right? So this is how we are going to determine our 4 inches. So I am going to just put my tape measure like this and then count the stitches that are in the 4 inches. So 1, 12 stitches. So I have 12 stitches. That is 4 inches for me. So I will leave 12 stitches in the middle. So I'm going to count all the stitches that I have from here to the other side. Then once I have that, subtract 12 stitches from that, and then the remainder divide by 2, and that will be the stitches on every panel. So mine was 71 stitches, subtract 12, that's 59, but I cannot work with 59 because one will be bigger than the other. So instead I worked with 60. That means I'm doing 60, or 30 on each side. Then I will have a remainder of only 11, which works. Okay, so I will do 30 stitches for every panel for me. So 30 plus 30 is 60 plus 11, that is 71, which is a total of my all stitches. Okay, so I went ahead and chained 30. Okay, so now that I need a turning chain, I will add 2 chains to that, so that it gives me a turning chain. This is already 30 for my stitches. Then add 2 chains, 1, 2, and then I'm going to start on the row. So I will go into the 3rd chain and make a double crochet, and then I'm going to go into every chain with a double crochet, and at the end of it all I should have 30 chains. Okay, so just repeat for you. My back panel was 71 stitches. I took away 11 because it was supposed to be 12, but I cannot work the panels differently. They need to be the same. So each panel is 30 stitches plus 11 gives me 71. Okay, the 11 stitches is just for the back, for the neckline area. So I went to the end and I chained 2, and now start on row 2. So I make a double crochet in that very first stitch, and we are keeping our stitches loose. It's like how we worked the back panel, but this is a shorter version. Okay, instead of mine that was 71 stitches, this is only 30 stitches, but the pattern is basically the same. Okay, so I'll work double crochets all the way to the end, and then I come show you again. So I'm getting to the end of my row, and like we were doing with the back panel, we are going to be putting our stitch on top of this double crochet, the previous double crochet. So we are not adding any extra stitches, and then you're going to chain 2. Like we already did this, you know how it was with the back panel, so it's the same. So chain 2, turn your work, and then chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so we are going to work double crochets in every stitch, and for me I'll have 30 double crochets on every row. So for reference, maybe someone who wants to make the same size as mine, I don't know, it depends. I am a size extra small, sometimes an extra small, but this can also be worn by a small. Even a medium can wear this. Okay, so repeat this until you have the same number of rows as your back panel, same number of rows as your back panel. Okay, so count the rows on your back panel, should be the same as this. So I did the 2 panels because I needed, they are very identical, 30 stitches on each side, and now we want to join them to the back panel. We will sew them here, and I'll be using a hook, but you can also use a darning needle to do that. So just align them we are sewing them on the wrong side. Decide what you want to be your wrong side. So my wrong sides are outside, and then the right side is on the inside. Okay, so I am going to be using slip stitch to join this. You can use a darning needle and just sew them together. This is just easier for me. So the joining method shouldn't matter. Just have your panels joined. Doesn't matter how you join them. Just have them joined. Use your favorite method to join the panels. Okay, so I am going to be working slip stitches in every stitch, both the back panel and the front panel, just to join the two together. So I will slip stitch across, and yeah, that's basically it. Slip stitch in every stitch all the way until I am at the end of the front panel. So my neckline is, I left 11 inches, okay? And it can be different for you because, you know, our stitches are not the same. You're probably using a different type of yarn, or your tension is different. So my 11 inches could be almost 4 inches. My 11 stitches could be almost 4 inches, and yours maybe is like, I don't know, 12 or 15 or 16 or even 8, depends on how your tension is. So once you get to the end, chain a 1. I just did a single crochet to make it more secure. So make a chain 1 and cut off your yarn and pull to tighten, and that's it. So you will join the other side too. So this is how it looks when I turn it to the right side. Okay, and you're going to join the other panel on the other side the same way like we did with this other side, and once you're done, it should look something like this. Okay, so we have our 2 panels joined, yeah, and now we're going to work the sleeves. Okay, so for the sleeves, we are going to be working in rounds. I already have one of my sleeves, and the length of my sleeve is also very long. You could make them shorter if you like. Okay, so we are going to be working in rounds for this, so it's going to be a little bit different. So for the sleeves, we are going to make a long chain. So wrap your tape measure around your biggest part of your arm, and what you have, add 6 inches to that. Okay, so mine is 10 when I wrap my tape measure around my biceps, and when I add 6 inches to that, it makes it 16. So I will chain 16, and I folding it into 2 because it's long and I want to fit on camera. So that's about 8 inches. Of course, it's folded in half, so when it's flat, then it's about 16 inches. And you can also adjust this. If you want it smaller, just take off a few inches, or if you want it bigger, you can add more inches. But I took the biggest part of my arm and then added 6 inches to have the fitting that I have. Okay, so you are going to make it straight and then go into the very first chain, because we're going to be working in rounds. So you're going to close it off with a slip stitch so that we have this circle like this. Okay, so this is our sleeve, and now we are going to work double crochet. So you are going to be chaining 3 and not 2. Okay, so 3, and this chain 3 counts as a stitch. So you will go into the next chain because our chain 3 counts as a stitch, and then you're going to work a double crochet, then go into the very next chain, work a double crochet, and you are going to work 1 double crochet in every chain until we get to the end of the round, and then I'll come show you how to close it off. All right, so we are coming to the end, and this is going to be my last double crochet right here. This is my last stitch, and then to close it off, we are going to go on top of the chain 3, on top of the chain 3 here, and then close it off with a slip stitch like this. And then for the next round, we are going to chain 3, which counts as a stitch, right? So I will turn my work. We'll be turning our work after every round. So this is a stitch, so just going on top of this first double crochet here and make your double crochet. So then from now on, you're going to go into every stitch with a double crochet. Keep your stitches loose, keep the same tension, and you're going to make a double crochet in every stitch until you get to the end. I'll come show you one more time how to finish it off. So I'm coming to the end, and this is going to be my last stitch on top of this double crochet here, and then I'm going to go on top of this chain 3 right here and make a slip stitch. And then as you can see, my stitches are in line. Every double crochet is on top of a double crochet, and the chain is on top of a previous chain. So then you chain 3 and you're going to make a double crochet on top of this first double crochet here. And it's going to be as simple as that. So make a double crochet on top of every double crochet and keep going in rounds. So once you get to the round, you turn your work. So I'll see you once you have the length of your sleeve that you like. Okay, so this is my sleeve, and it's quite long because it comes from like my underarm till my wrist area, which is longer than it should be, but I wanted it like that. Okay, so if you want your sleeve a bit shorter, then please don't make it that long. Okay, so now we are going to make some rows of single crochet and some reductions. So you could want your sleeve to be, you know, like most of the kimonos are not small on the wrist area, but I wanted a wristband to be small. So I'll work single crochets and make some reductions. So we are going to be reducing 2 stitches. Okay, so I'll go in with an unfinished single crochet, then go into the next stitch with an unfinished single crochet like this, and then pull through all 3 loops. Okay, one more time. I go in, pull through like this, go into the next, pull through like this. I have 3 loops on the hook, and then pull through all. Then again. So you are going to be reducing 2 stitches. So we're making like we're joining 2 stitches into 1. Does that make sense? I think so. So you are going to do that all the way to the end of the round, and I'll meet you there. So I came all the way, and this is going to be my last stitch. It's only 1, so I'll just make a single crochet and then get on top of this first single crochet and slip stitch. And we are going to be working in one direction. We're not turning our work, so I'll chain 1, and I will work 1 single crochet in every stitch for this second row of single crochets. So I am working 1 single crochet in every stitch. And for the people that always say you sound too fast and all that, there are settings on the video by YouTube where you can like slow it down so that, you know, I don't sound so fast. So I'm at the end of the second round, and you're going to insert your hook, slip stitch, and then we're going to make 1 more reduction. So it's still a little bit big for me, so I will chain 1 and I'll go in with a single crochet. That's 1, and then go in with a second single crochet. That's 2, and then make a reduction. So make a reduction like this, pull through all the 3 loops, and then now do 2 single crochets and then a reduction. So I'll go into the first single crochet here, incomplete, second incomplete, pull through all 3 loops, and then 2 single crochets. All right, so I am making a reduction after every 2 single crochets. Okay, so you do that until the end, and I came to the end, and at this point I think I have enough fitting for my wrist, so I'll just work a single crochet row here. So it's 1 single crochet in every stitch, no reductions until the end. Okay, so I'm at the end, pull through with a slip stitch, chain 1, and you're going to cut off your yarn. So you're going to do the next sleeve same as this other one, same number of rows, and once you have 2 identical sleeves, then we are going to attach them to the rest of the cardigan. So it's same pattern, go round, turn every row, at the end of every row until you have 2 sleeves that are identical. Okay, so this is my sleeve 1 and this is sleeve 2, and we need to put this to the cardigan, so they are on the right side. Okay, so this is the right side. So what we are going to do is we're going to lay down our cardigan. This is the wrong side of the cardigan, however the sleeves will keep them on the right side. Okay, so lay your cardigan on the wrong side, the sleeves are on the right side. I want to put this at the bottom, so we are going to insert in our sleeve between the 2 panels like this. Make sure it's very aligned, especially here where we want to join. Stretch it a little bit like this, and we are going to be joining this around this area, and I will be using slip stitch. So I want to put some, you need to know how many rows are on the front and also on the back, so that you're joining the same number of, you're leaving the same number of rows. Okay, so you can put a stitch marker to know where you want to start and end, so that you're not a bit confused. Okay, so I'll just tie this like this, and then we're going to work around this area here. Okay, so until we are down here, then we'll work all the way down. So get your yarn and we're going to reattach. So just count to make sure you have the same number of rows on each side, at the back and the front. So insert your hook and you're going to reattach your yarn, and you're going to be reattach your yarn like this, and then we are going to be joining. You can use a darning needle for this. I'm choosing to use a hook, so I'm not placing my stitches in any specific place. I'm just placing them as I go. Okay, so I'm using a slip stitch for this, so I just go in and slip stitch, go in and slip stitch whenever I feel that that place needs a slip stitch. Okay, so I'll just do this all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom of the sleeve, and then once I get to the bottom, then once I get here, then I will join all the way down, but I will show you how to do that. Okay, so I got to the end of the sleeve. This is where it ends. Slip stitch all the way to where you started. Yeah, and once you get here, just join these 2. This is your underarm right here, and then now you're going to slip stitch all the way to the bottom of the cardigan. Okay, so the sleeve is done. Now it's slip stitch all the way to the bottom of the cardigan. Same thing. Okay, so join the sides of the cardigan. Make sure your rows are in line. Okay, you don't want one row in the middle of the other row, so just try to align them so that the rows of at the back and the rows at the front are just in line. And we will slip stitch all the way to the bottom, and I will see you once you are done joining the sides. You can use a needle to sew this together. I think it will look neater, but for me this is faster. I like fast. So So this is how it looks once the sleeves are on. Okay. All right, I'll see you once you're done. So I'm done, and we'll chain one, cut off our work, and then pull through. And then you're going to do the same for the other sleeve. So this is how it looks like. Do the same for the other sleeve too. And once you have the sleeve joined, join the sides, and then we are almost at the end, basically. You will have a cardigan by then. So join the other sleeve too, and yeah. So I have all the sleeves joined, the sides joined, and now I want just to put a roll of to clean this area here in the front. So I am going to work a row of half double crochets along this area here, from the bottom all the way to the top and back to the bottom. Okay, so we'll reattach our yarn, and we are going to reattach our yarn here. And please watch how I placed my half double crochet. So you're going to chain one, and chain two, and then you're going to yarn over, and we're going to work half double crochets like this. You can use single crochets if you like. So this is where I'm placing my half double crochets, like in the big stitch at this one, and then at the top of the stitch like this, in this area here. So in the big stitch, and then at the top of the stitch, in the big stitch, and then at the top of the stitch, big stitch, and the top of the stitch. All right, so you're going to do that all the way to the top, and then around the neck area, and then all the way to the bottom, and that will be it. All right, if you need a belt, please, I did 2 rows of this double crochet rows. So this is how it looks like before I cut all the loose ends or sew them in. And yeah, I was liking it. So yeah, so let's style it. And I did the belt 2 rows of double crochet, and this is just as a robe or something like that, and I was liking it, and it just feels nice. And then I went ahead and made a skirt. This skirt's tutorial will be up next, and I just love it as a pair, as a set like this. This is my favorite. Okay, so I'll be making the tutorial for the skirt in case you want to make a skirt. Stay tuned. You can also wear it like this as a kimono, and this look was also a hit. So yeah, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this, and if you recreate it, please tag me. It's Essie Crochets on social media, on all social media. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next tutorial. For the yarn details, please check my description box. Bye.